Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot patterning. And I've got a kind of a request or an interesting thing that I wanted to try out today that one of you guys had said in the comments that you think I should try and see what kind of performance that I might be able to get out of it. So if you've been around the channel for a while and watched any of my buckshot tests with my Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag, then you probably know that for whatever reason my 835 just has not shown any really good results with buckshot. They've all been okay, but definitely nothing super impressive to say the least. So on the last video where we tested some double-aught buck through this 835, one of you guys commented and said that in your 835 you run triple-aught buck with your modified choke, and you see some really good looking patterns out at 40 yards with it. Now I don't necessarily have too many doubts about that specific setup, but that combination through my gun, I really don't have the highest of hopes for it. But I hope that it does prove me completely wrong. So with that being said, I dug through my ammo cabinet and I found one singular shell of triple-aught buck that I had in a plastic bag with some random other shotgun shells. And it's definitely old and it's not the prettiest, but we're gonna try it and see anyway. And that shell is one of these. This is a Winchester Super X Magnum. It is a 3-inch triple-aught buck shell, but as you can see, it's pretty ugly looking, but it should still fire and function perfectly fine for us. Now, I don't know if that's the shell that he was using, but at least it gives us kind of maybe an idea of what might happen. And obviously, I don't know how many pellets is in that load. I don't know the velocity that it's supposed to be going or anything like that. So we'll be able to find out our velocity definitely because I have my chronograph. And if all of our pellets hit our paper, we'll definitely be able to tell there as well. And of course, as for the shotgun we have out here today, it is my 835 Ulti-Mag. And I did throw in the stock modified choke that came with the gun. I did measure it out to be a 765 constriction, which sounds a lot more open than usual, but this is an overboard shotgun, so it actually does mathematically equal out to a modified choke in this gun. So with that being said, I have my doubts, but I definitely hope that it proves me wrong and really shows us some pretty decent performance. So let's go over here and shoot it and see if my setup might actually like something like this as well. Alright, so as you guys can see, we had 1202 feet per second through the chronograph. That would make pretty good sense to me, being right about 1200 or so feet per second. So I don't think we saw anything out of the ordinary here, but how did it actually perform? Let's go down to our target and take a look and see what it actually gave us. Alright, so we're down here now at our 40-yard paper, and this is the result that we got. Now, for reference, this paper is 36 inches wide by roughly 36 inches tall, and this white dot was my point of aim. Now, I do think I might have pulled that shot just a little bit low. I don't think this would have patterned a touch low on its own. I do think that might have been me, so I wish I would have had it up a little bit higher, but right off the bat, I think this is some of the best performance we've seen out of that 835. Now, we have a total of 10 pellets on this piece of paper here. So that could mean we have a 12 pellet load, or it could mean we have a 15 pellet load. Somebody who actually knows more than I do about that specific shell can chime in the comments and actually tell us to be for sure. But either way, it's looking pretty decent so far, especially for what we've seen so far out of that particular 835. So with that being said, I think our templates are going to look pretty good, but I'm going to make the executive decision to actually lower the templates on the target today. Normally I line them up with my point of aim, but I'm just going to keep that central point and just lower the actual templates. So with that being said, let's throw our first 10-inch circle template up and see how it would have done with that. Alright, so here's our 10-inch circle, and as we can see, we have 4 pellets out of the 10 that actually hit the piece of paper within this 10-inch circle, which I think that's the highest number of pellets we've had in a 10-inch circle from that 835 yet. I would have liked to have seen them a little bit more in the center, but it's kind of tricky to really determine the exact point of impact, especially when I was a little bit low like that. So I just put the template on lower, kind of where I thought was kind of the center when I pulled the trigger. But let's throw a 30-inch circle up and see what that might look like. Alright, so here is our 30-inch circle, and it's a similar story really. I just lowered it to roughly where I thought my center point of aim was. And we have 9 out of the 10 that actually hit the paper within this circle. The other one is just hiding behind this bottom right corner down here. So overall, not too bad at all there either. And we're looking pretty decent going into kind of the more hunting style patterns as well. So speaking of hunting, let's throw a deer template up and kind of see what it might have done on a deer. Alright, so now we're looking at our deer template, and for reference we have a front leg at the bottom and his neck just starts off to the right hand side. And like we've been doing, I did lower the template just a little bit considering I did feel myself pull it low, and we had a total of 6 out of the 10 that actually hit the paper that hit this deer anyway. Now of those 6, I definitely think we had some pretty vital hits in here. Definitely one that might have got low heart down there, and 1 or 2 more that got into some lungs. And these guys up here probably would have gotten some kind of a vital artery or something like that coming off of the heart area for sure. So we would absolutely have a dead deer, I would say. So looking pretty decent so far, but let's throw a hog template up for those of you guys in the south that hunt those and see what that might look like. Alright, so now we're looking at our hog template, and it's the same orientation as the deer with his legs at the bottom and his neck just starting off to the right. And we had a total of 7 out of the 10 that actually hit the paper actually hit this hog. And of those, we had 1 in the back leg down there, and the rest were right around the vitals area here. So I definitely think we would have had a dead hog here for sure. Alright y'all, so what do you think about that kind of performance that we saw today? I was a little skeptical going into it, especially with having a modified choke at 40 yards. And on top of that, knowing what my setup has done with buckshot so far, not being all that amazing, I'm definitely pretty surprised and pretty happy with that kind of performance. And there's no question there, that would absolutely work on a deer or a hog or anything like that. But what has been your experience if you have an 835 and have shot buckshot through it? Does yours like the triple-aught buck as well? And if so, what are some other triple-aught buck shells that we might be able to get our hands on and test? Because I definitely think mine might lean more towards the triple-aught buck as well. So with that being said, leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts about it all. But at the end of the day, I'm definitely pretty happy with what we saw out here for this test. So I'm going to jump back to doing some more testing for y'all, so stay tuned because we've got plenty more coming, and I'll see y'all in the next one.